Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. Hamas releases 4 female Israeli soldiers under ceasefire deal. US Supreme Court clears extradition of Pakistan-origin terrorist Rana to India. Dismisses Rana's plea to avoid extradition for Mumbai attack involvement. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi. 4 pacts signed. Spirited Indian team to lock horns against England in second T20 International in Chennai. Hamas has released 4 Israeli women soldiers who were taken hostage in Gaza. At the main square in Gaza City, the 4 were presented in front of dozens of masked armed militants who had gathered. The Israeli hostages were transported to Israel in 4 Red Cross vehicles and are now in the custody of Israeli army.
Today, as part of these ongoing efforts, we welcomed home 4 more Israeli hostages after 477 days in Hamas captivity. Liri Elbag, age 19, Naama Levi, age 20, Karina Arayev, age 20, Daniela Gilboa, age 20, 4 IDF soldiers who were all abducted by Hamas from Nahal Oz on October 7th, 2023. Today, we salute and embrace them and their families as they reunite just now after so long.
As per Hamas, 200 prisoners will be freed by Israel on Saturday as part of the exchange. And DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us live. Hi Jessica. 4 Israeli women soldiers released by Hamas, second swap after Gaza ceasefire. What latest are you picking up on this and what can we expect next?
This is part of the ongoing ceasefire agreement that was put in place on the 19th of January, where earlier you saw 3 hostages were released by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners released by the Israeli authorities. This time it is even more significant to the effect where we have seen 4 Israeli female soldiers who were part of the IDF's post on observing in Gaza, a very, very important, very important set of resources for Israel there, but just 4 of them among the 7 that were captured, the 3 of them were given to believe or understand are still with Hamas, along with a total of 26 to 28 hostages still with Israel. And that, of course, the exchanges of the hostages with the Palestinian prisoners hopefully should continue with the momentum that the ceasefire deal has picked up and what all mechanisms were in place. Remember, Qatar, the United States, along with Egypt, have been indulging in intense negotiations to reach that ceasefire deal in Doha. And the events, the way have flowed till now, many questions were raised whether it would hold, whether the implementation would take place, which was certainly a difficult task, apart from implementing a ceasefire deal, which came after 15 months of intense fighting and unrest in West Asia, is something that was welcomed with everyone, and also how the global dynamics are changing with US President Donald Trump now as the leader of the free world and with his own set of ideas aligned to how he deems fit to end conflicts, not just in West Asia but also in Ukraine. Things in a broader context would certainly look that the kind of unrest we've seen, especially in West Asia right now, these tough negotiations and exchange of hostages with with Palestinian prisoners is continuing. And then we wait for the second and the third phase, which will be even more crucial, where we're talking about withdrawal of Israeli troops. So it is a sensitive moment in the ceasefire, but with the way the ceasefire has been implemented so far, the terms and agreement, it does seem to show that it's moving ahead, with 8 trucks also now coming in. Remember, an estimate suggests that there have to be at least 500 to 608 trucks for the people of Gaza. Nearly 2 million of them stand displaced, cannot go back to their houses. In fact, no roof under them, no water, basic sanitation. So all of that now is at least partly visible on the ground, but it will take many, many years for post-war construction efforts, and that perhaps will be phase 3, Siddharth.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Jessica. South Korean prosecutors on Saturday again asked for an extension of impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's detention over his failed martial law bid after a Seoul court rejected a previous demand. Yoon was arrested in a dawn raid last week on insurrection charges, becoming the first sitting South Korean head of state to be detained in a criminal probe. His martial law decree only lasted about 6 hours before it was voted down by lawmakers who forced their way into parliament, but it still managed to plunge South Korea into its worst political crisis in decades. The Japan Coast Guard and Indonesia's Maritime Security Agency conducted joint exercises off Jakarta on Friday to combat maritime crimes using the JCG's Setsu patrol vessel with 40 personnel on board. The drill featured a water jet boat simulating a pirate vessel. The collaboration highlights efforts to strengthen maritime security in the region. In a major win for India, the US Supreme Court has cleared 26/11 attack convict Tahawur Rana's extradition to India. Rana is wanted in India for his involvement in the 2008 Mumbai attacks. The US Supreme Court dismissed a review petition against Rana's conviction in the case. Rana had filed a petition for writ of certiorari before the US Supreme Court in November last year. This was denied by Apex Court on January 21st, a day after Donald Trump was sworn in as the American president. Rana is currently detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. This was Rana's last legal chance not to be extradited to India, as he has already lost the legal battle in several federal courts, including the US Court of Appeals for the North Circuit in San Francisco. India was seeking the extradition of Rana, a Canadian national of Pakistani origin, in 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks case. Rana has been declared a fugitive by India and is facing multiple criminal charges. All right, indeed, India's Amrit Pal Singh joins us live on this top story. Hi, Amrit. Now that US Supreme Court has cleared 26/11 attack convict Tahawur Rana's extradition to India, can you give us some more details, Amrit? On what grounds has he lost the case?
Okay, after India filed the extradition in 2019 and sent a note to them in 2019-2020, he was released in another case during COVID, but the very next day he was arrested on India's extradition charges, saying that till they are pending. So he, lost that in subsequent courts. Finally, on the 23rd of November, he filed a case in the US Supreme Court, asking that he had basically 2 arguments. One, that he cannot be tried for the same offense again. He had been acquitted in 2011 in a Chicago court. So he said that he could not be extradited to India because they'll be trying him for the 2008 involvement, for which he has already been acquitted. His second argument was that he cannot. It does not make a case for extradition. The U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar opposed this by saying that there is a case for his extradition on 2 grounds. One, She said that he had not been tried for all offences in the US court that India has charged him for. She gave the example, and if I can quote her, she says that, for example, the charges, India's forgery charges for which he has not been tried in the US, based on based in part on a conduct that he was not charged in the US for use of false information in an application to the branch of RBI. Now, he had opened a branch office of his immigration services in Bombay, under which David Coleman Headley would come to India, and he finally got the multiple entry visa to India to do surveillance of the attack sites of 26/11. Second, she said that the jury verdict in the case is not clear. She says it involves conspiracy charges which are somewhat difficult to pass, which means that he has not been convicted or acquitted on all of the specific conduct that India has been charged him with. Basically saying that the juries, it's difficult to analyze the jury's verdict. So the Supreme Court accepted the contention of the US government made by the Solicitor General, and finally said that he's a fit case for extradition.
All right, Amrit, now that he'll be extradited to India, what next can we expect in this?
Okay, now basically there's a procedural procedure that follows. It goes from the Justice Department, it goes to the State Department. His lawyer can file objections at that stage. It will again be referred to the Justice Department, but that's all procedural. He can only delay it, not come out of it, because the Supreme Court and multiple courts have ruled that he's a fit case for extradition. So the State Department, which is basically the Foreign Ministry, will have to extradite him to India. He can only delay it. His lawyers can only delay it. Once extradited to India, he's already been accused in the 2008 case. Multiple charge sheets have been filed, subsequent charge sheets have been filed, the latest one in 2023, where he has been charged for active involvement in the 2008 case. So it goes, because he's never tried, he's a declared fugitive. So, the case will begin at the Colaba court. He has the right to appeal against it in subsequent courts and courts of appeal. So whatever the court decides fit punishment for him, he'll go through a legal process. Siddharth?
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Amrit. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held delegation-level talks with Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi on Saturday. The two leaders held discussion on bilateral and international issues. During this, 4 pacts were signed. India and Indonesia exchanged agreements and signed MOUs in the field of health cooperation, traditional medicine, maritime safety cooperation, cultural exchange program and digital development. During the press statement, PM Modi said both countries have decided to strengthen cooperation in areas like artificial intelligence and Internet of Things.
Fintech, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things और डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जैसे क्षेत्रों में हमने आपसी सहयोग को और सशक्त करने का निर्णय लिया है। हेल्थ और फूड सिक्योरिटी के सेक्टर में भारत अपने अनुभव जैसे कि मिड डे मील स्कीम और पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम इंडोनेशिया के साथ साझा कर रहा है। हमने तय किया है कि एनर्जी, क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, स्पेस और स्टेम एजुकेशन के क्षेत्रों में भी साथ मिलकर काम किया जाएगा। आसियान और इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में इंडोनेशिया हमारा महत्वपूर्ण पार्टनर है। इस पूरे क्षेत्र में शांति, सुरक्षा, समृद्धि और रूल बेस्ड ऑर्डर को बनाए रखने के लिए हम दोनों प्रतिबद्ध हैं। हम सहमत हैं कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कानूनों के अनुरूप फ्रीडम ऑफ नेविगेशन सुनिश्चित होना चाहिए।
Earlier, President Subianto received a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. He is the chief guest for the 76th Republic Day celebrations at Kartavya Path on 26th of January. During his remarks, President Subianto referred to India as a great friend and acknowledged New Delhi as one of the first nations to recognize Indonesia's independence. Later in the day, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto met India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House in New Delhi on Saturday. The two leaders held bilateral talks at Hyderabad House. This is President Subianto's first state visit to India after assuming office in October last year. The visit underscores the long-standing partnership between the two nations and their commitment to strengthening ties across various domains. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Russia's Putin dismisses Trump sanctions, open to talks. Zelensky accuses manipulation. Pete Hegseth confirmed as U.S. Defense Secretary by one vote, with VP J.D. Vance as tiebreaker.
From the historic milestone of Chandrayaan-3 to the recent space docking mission to the ambitious vision of Gaganyaan, it is an exciting phase for India's space program.
Today, the India is globally accepted as a outstanding spacefaring nation. India, we are having collaboration with 60 countries. Out of that, 40 countries were from global south. If you take Gaganyaan program, it is meant for taking our own astronaut to the space and bring them back safely. Now, to do entire thing safely, we are planning 3 uncrewed missions.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. India's President Draupadi Murmu will address the nation on eve of Republic Day on January 25th. The speech will air at 7 PM IST across all Doordarshan channels and Akashvani in Hindi and English, with regional versions following shortly after. Following the initial broadcast, Doordarshan will continue the transmission in various regional languages on its regional channels. This ensures that the President's message reaches every corner of the nation, emphasizing the country's cultural and linguistic diversity. Akashvani will support this outreach, broadcasting the regional language versions starting at 9:30 PM IST on its respective regional networks, making the President's address accessible to a broader audience. Indian government on Saturday announced 942 service medals, including 95 gallantry medals for personnel of various central and state police forces. According to the Home Ministry, out of the 95 gallantry awards, 28 have been awarded to security personnel for their service in left-wing extremism affected areas, and 28 medals awarded to security forces in the Jammu and Kashmir region, while 3 medals were awarded to personnel in Northeast and 36 others to personnel from other regions. Fire services personnel won 17 medals. And out of 101 President's medals for distinguished service, 85 have been awarded to police personnel, 5 to fire services personnel, 7 to civil defense and home guard service, and 4 to correctional service. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday described US President Donald Trump as pragmatic and smart, expressing doubt that Trump would lower global oil prices to harm Russia. Speaking to Russian state television, he further dismissed Trump's threats of new sanctions against Russia, stating that he doesn't believe Trump would take any action that might hurt the American economy. Expressing his willingness to meet the newly inaugurated US president soon, Putin also reiterated that he was open to discussions on issues in fact such as Ukraine, war and energy prices.
Мы слышим о возможности введения дополнительных санкций в отношении России.
We hear about the possibility of imposing additional sanctions against Russia. I doubt that Trump will make such decisions that will harm the American economy itself. He is not only a smart man, he is a pragmatic man, and I can hardly imagine that there will be decisions that harm the American economy itself. It would be better for us to meet based on the realities of today, to talk calmly on those areas that are of interest to both the United States and Russia. We are ready.
Реалии сегодняшнего дня поговорить спокойно по всем тем направлениям, которые представляют.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused his Russian counterpart Putin of trying to manipulate Donald Trump. This comes after Putin praised the US president and expressed readiness for talks with him.
І ще одне. Провів сьогодні ставку.
The report of the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service on Russia's military potential and Putin's readiness to continue the war and manipulate the leaders of the world. And in particular, he wants to manipulate the desire of the President of the United States of America to achieve peace. I am confident that no Russian manipulations will succeed anymore.
Російські маніпуляції більше не
Belarus is set for presidential elections 2025 scheduled for this week. The elections are expected to extend seventh term in part to the president Alexander Lukashenko. Lukashenko, a close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, has already ruled the Eastern European country for 31 years. The exiled opposition has denounced the elections, calling it meaningless pretense, as all leading critics have been jailed or forced to flee. The last time Belarus staged a presidential election in 2020, authoritarian leader Lukashenko was declared the winner with 80% of the vote. Lukashenko faces 4 other candidates, but none has presented any serious challenge or criticism. He has said that he is too busy to keep track of the election campaign, but offered a sweetener to voters this week by announcing that pensions would rise by 10% from February 1st. In a historic vote, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance broke a 50-50 tie to confirm Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News personality, as the new U.S. Secretary of Defense. 3 Republican senators voted against Hegseth's confirmation, citing concerns about his suitability for the role. However, with Vance's tie-breaking vote, Hegseth is set to become the new Pentagon chief. U.S. President Trump expressed happiness on the successful Senate confirmation of his defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth.
I'm honored to have Pete. I think Pete's going to be a great Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and we're honored to have him.
Tensions are running high in the South China Sea after the Philippine Coast Guard accused China of conducting aggressive maneuvers against Manila's fisheries vessels on Saturday. The Philippine Bureau of Fisheries vessels were reportedly harassed by 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships and a Chinese Navy helicopter, forcing them to abandon their scientific survey operations. This incident is just the latest escalation in the long-standing territorial disputes between the Philippines and China in South China Sea. While U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in his first call with his Chinese counterpart voiced serious concern over Beijing's coercive moves on Taiwan and in the South China Sea. The call with Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Rubio stressed the United States' commitment to the allies in the region. Amid an outbreak of deadly violence between rival armed groups, Colombia has launched a military offensive to fight against guerrillas in a region bordering Venezuela. A week of bloody violence that has killed at least 80 people and displaced over 40,000 people in the border region. Amid the violence, the government has deployed over 9,000 troops in the northeastern Catatumbo region. Violence escalated last week in the Venezuela border region when National Liberation Army guerrillas started targeting rebel armed groups with an aim to assert control over the swath of border region Catatumbo. U.S. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited wildfires-affected Los Angeles to view damage from this month's devastating wildfires. It was his first presidential visit since taking office and a potentially contested one after his repeated threats to withhold federal aid to California. The trip to Los Angeles was part of a broader national disaster recovery tour. Earlier on Friday, Trump also visited North Carolina to inspect damage after Hurricane Helene ravaged the area in October. Trump threatened that he would sign an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally overhauling or eliminating the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which he said was fallen short in efforts to assist victims of recent disasters. The agency received $29 billion from Congress in December to fund ongoing relief efforts.
Just hasn't done the job. And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me. I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA or maybe getting rid of FEMA.
Mexico has refused a request from President Donald Trump's administration to allow a U.S. military aircraft deporting migrants to land in the country. US military aircraft carried out 2 similar flights, each with about 80 migrants, to Guatemala on Friday. The government was not able to move ahead with a plan to have a C-17 transport aircraft land in Mexico. However, after the country denied permission, US-Mexico relations have come into sharp focus since Trump started his second term on Monday with the declaration of a national emergency along the two nations' shared border. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has sought to avoid escalating situation and even expressed openness toward accommodating Mexican nationals who are returned. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced on Friday that the United States is renewing its membership in an international agreement criticized for limiting abortion access for millions of women and girls worldwide. America's top diplomat stated that Washington had informed signatories of the Geneva Consensus Declaration of its intent to rejoin immediately. On January 28, 2021, US President Joe Biden withdrew United States from the declaration. The Geneva Consensus Declaration, originally co-sponsored in 2020 by United States, Brazil, Uganda, Egypt, Hungary and Indonesia, aims to promote anti-abortion policies globally. While people from across the country gathered in Washington, D.C. on Friday to protest abortion rights at the 52nd annual anti-abortion march, U.S. President Donald Trump shared a pre-recorded video message outlining plans for his second term, while Vice President J.D. Vance attended the annual march backing the movement's message. It's been 2 years since Roe vs. Wade was overturned, but protesters said more work needs to be done at the state level. Abortion rights advocates were also present at the rally, staging counter-protests. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Ahead of the much-awaited carnival of Oruro, Bolivian dancers performed during a parade in Santa Cruz de la Sierra in east-central Bolivia as part of pre-carnival celebrations. The carnival is a religious and cultural celebration in Bolivia, eagerly awaited by natives and tourists alike for its colorful and vibrant aura. Dozens of artists painted a large mural to show support for Colombian region bordering Venezuela hit by increasing guerrilla violence. The mural read in Spanish, "Nothing can knock Catatumbo down." The mural aimed to target the current situation and also to demand armed groups to stop their actions. Capturing the hearts of audiences, Giuseppe Verdi's Aida was performed at New York's Metropolitan Opera. The opera displayed a mix of colonialism and Middle East culture, giving a glimpse of the prevailing political and social scenario at that time. In fact, social scenario at that time. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. As US Supreme Court has cleared Mumbai attack convict Tahavur Rana's extradition to India, we will discuss it in detail. Stay tuned.
There is an urgent need for sustainable solutions to environmental challenges. Let's explore the impact of individual effort in addressing some of the most pressing issues for our planet.
It's important to engage with policy. It's important to engage with the questions around us and to think beyond short-term fixes.
It's such a nice thing to do for the nature as well, and once you do it, you also feel like something you have accomplished.
I received training from them and started this business in 2019. So I thought it's good business if I can earn 30,000 rupees after investing just 2,000.
I've known Father Godson Samuel for over 4 years now. We used to discuss how to replace plastic with palm products in an innovative way that can be easily accepted by people.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of headlines. Hamas releases 4 female Israeli soldiers under ceasefire deal. US Supreme Court clears extradition of Pakistan origin terrorist Tahavur Rana to India, dismisses Rana's plea to avoid extradition for Mumbai attack involvement. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds delegation-level talks with Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto in New Delhi. 4 pacts signed. Big story we are tracking this hour. US Supreme Court has cleared Mumbai attack convict Rana's extradition to India, dismissing his review petition against the move. He is accused of playing a major role in the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks in India. To discuss this further, joining us on the broadcast is Anil Kumar Trigunayat. He is a former Indian ambassador. Sir, first of all, a very warm welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, how do you react to this? What's your assessment says to begin with?
Well, I think that all the tricks that he tried to avail as per the legal procedure in the United States after his arrest, he has gone through them. And finally, the evidence that the NIA and India presented has been upheld by the Supreme Court. And as per our 1997 extradition treaty, they are permitting him now to go back to India. As you know, been given about 14 years imprisonment, and once he comes here, further investigations will reveal that what he, along with David Headley, were actually responsible for wrecking and for providing all the information, because he had also stayed in the same hotel, in which, and just a few days before the events, these dastardly attacks happened in Mumbai.
All right. Sir, do you also see this decision as a big win for India, and why?
Well, I think this is a big win because India has stood its ground. It has already, we know that this will also probably now allow the United States to understand the complexity of it and also pressure Pakistan to come clean on the other evidence that India has presented to them, because they are the ones who have been actually perpetrating these crimes, supporting these terrorists from there, or terror groups from Pakistan. So I think India has been able to successfully uphold its stance and the investigations and adequate evidence which has been acknowledged by the Supreme Court and the other courts in the United States has already been considered, and due extradition has been granted accordingly.
Definitely. This also indicates India's zero tolerance towards terrorism. Do you reckon that?
Well, India has followed this policy, and not only that, I mean, if you remember that India is also suffering from terrorism for over 4 decades, because our western neighbor Pakistan has been continuing to follow terrorism as an instrument of its foreign policy against India, bleeding 1,000 cuts and whatnot. At the same time, over time, we have seen that their iron-clad friend China has also helped all these Lashkar-e-Taiba and various other groups by putting a technical hold at the UN Committee 1267 Committee in the United Nations. And this year, Pakistan is also part of the UN Security Council non-permanent seat, holding the non-permanent seat. So I think that this is time, this exposes the Pakistani designs, frankly, and hopefully now they will take some lesson from this, that 26/11 really happened, and that Pakistani terrorists who are being supported by them are there, they have admitted to it, and now it's time for them to deliver themselves from these kind of accusations that the government of India and the international community is making against them, that they are the harbors and havens of terrorists.
Sir, now that Rana will be extradited to India, I want to ask you that, according to you, how much time will it take, for him to be brought to India, and also what happens next?
Well, I think that there is a procedure which will take place. Now, the court orders have been issued. It will depend on the local authorities, how soon they are able to hand over to the Indian authorities, or they will themselves like to bring him here and hand over in India. So we'll have to see how it works out. Secondly, he's also a Canadian citizen. I think that complication also needs to be addressed. Once he comes to India, obviously he's already been given a jail for 14 years. now, so that will continue. At the same time, it will allow the Indian authorities to undertake further investigation about his connection, because he has been denying any hand. But he has been close to David Headley. He is the one who helped him get a long-term visa with which David Headley was able to come here, and he has been close to one ISI major. So I think that there are evidences which are there. Only thing is one has to once again do that. Plus, he gets the justice must be served upon him, and that is what will happen, that he'll undergo the prison sentence here.
Definitely, sir. If I talk to you about the chronology of India's request for Rana's extradition, then it will be on December 4, 2019. Specifically, India submitted a diplomatic note, in fact, to US to extradite Rana, and on June 10, 2020, India filed a complaint seeking the provisional arrest of Rana with view towards extradition. The Joe Biden administration that time, sir, in US supported Rana's extradition to India. Does it also speak something about the India-US relations and how the requests are being heard?
Well, we have an extradition treaty between the two countries that was signed in 1997. But as you know, in the beginning, the lower courts had given him the jail term, but at the same time for the crime against a Canadian post, which was a Canadian journal, which was posted something. And then thereafter, that was the reason, but not necessarily their hand in the 2008. That's when it took longer for us to provide the evidence. Once again, as you mentioned, the chronology, and that was given. And India and USA are global comprehensive strategic partners. Both are against terrorism, and both wants to approve terrorism.
But sir, as far as the extradition treaty is concerned, there are some conditions attached to the extradition treaties whenever and wherever they are signed.
Well, of course, there are treaties. Treaties also take into account various humanitarian dimensions. They take into account the conditions of the various kinds of things which each state. And since they are signed after due consideration, that means they are already prima facie agreed to that the extradition will take place. So conditions are there. Those conditions will continue to be complied with. India is not the first time getting the extradition done. So we are aware about that, and these negotiations take very long, in fact, and arduous negotiations. I have myself entered into several treaties like that, and I know that it is every sentence, every para is very carefully drafted in this, so that there is no scope for misuse or abuse by either side.
Can you explain a bit how is it done?
Well, for example, like the person, when he is identified, you need to provide incontrovertible evidence which should be verifiable, that the due legal process has been followed in your country and the proper investigations have been done, which are not just hearsay, and there are sufficient evidences. So those evidences, how they will be done, what kind of impact they'll have, what will the kind of legal procedures that will follow. So it is a prolonged procedure, even as you have seen that it has taken us nearly 5-6 years to get him now at this stage.
Yeah.
Because then the person can go to their country, wherever they are resident, and will go through that process, and that allows it. But the government of the day may be committed to it, but the judicial process has to be followed, and that applies to both sides.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining in on the broadcast. As India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman prepares to present the Union Budget 2025 on February 1st, investor, sports mentor and Indian table tennis player Aman Dhal shared his views on the upcoming budget. He emphasized the importance of increasing investment in the sports sector. Dhal also stressed the significance of promoting a healthier India through strategic initiatives.
We need to spend much more on our sports sector, especially on grassroots sport development. This year, we should up our budget allocation for sports by at least 5 times. But also it is trying to solve the problem of a healthy India. If you look at the current estimates, as per WHO, there are nearly 14 million obese children in India. They're like 1 in 7 adolescents. There are mental health issues. So sports needs to be looked from a much more holistic view.
As India celebrates its National Voters' Day, we recognize the significance of this day in promoting democratic values and encouraging citizen participation. DD India's Antara Sinha tells us more.
Democracy is the backbone of a nation, and the power of voting is the voice of its citizens. India is celebrating its 15th National Voters' Day on January 25th, a milestone that follows the remarkable success of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections or general elections. This year's celebration also coincides with the Election Commission of India's 75th anniversary, marking 7 decades of committed service to the nation. The theme of this year's celebration of National Voters' Day is nothing like voting, I vote for sure. It continues from the last year, urging citizens to take pride in exercising their franchise. National Voters' Day plays a vital role in promoting democratic values. The day aims to encourage voter enrollment, especially among young and new voters, promote voter awareness about the electoral process, strengthen democracy by celebrating the Indian Constitution, and promoting informed participation. India's electorate is approaching the 100 crore mark, with 99.1 crore registered voters. The database now includes 21.7 crore young electors in the 18 to 29 age group, alongside a 6-point increase in the electoral gender ratio from 948 in 2024 to 954 in 2025. The significance of National Voters' Day lies in its reminder that every vote counts and has the power to bring about change. It celebrates the Indian Constitution and the Election Commission's efforts to ensure free and fair elections. By observing this day, India showcases its commitment to democracy and citizen participation.
The right to vote is the cornerstone of democracy. It gives citizens a chance to participate in the decision-making process and shape the future of their country. The National Voters' Day encourages rich voter enrollment and participation. With camera person Rajinder Joshi, this is Antara Sinha for DD India.
India's President Draupadi Murmu graced the National Voters' Day celebrations in New Delhi on Saturday. India marked its 15th National Voters' Day today, celebrating the power and importance of every vote in strengthening the democratic fabric of the nation. This year's National Voters' Day is significant since it comes soon after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, the largest democratic exercise in the world. On this occasion, Doordarshan received the prestigious ECI Media Award for Electronic Media from President Draupadi Murmu. The national broadcaster was awarded for spreading awareness among voters and strengthening democratic processes. Observed annually on January 25 since 2011, Voters' Day commemorates the foundation day of the Election Commission of India, established on January 25, 1950, a day before India became a republic. While addressing at the event, President Murmu hailed the increased voter turnout in 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
के लोकसभा चुनाव को संपन्न कराने में पूरे देश में 2 लाख से अधिक पोलिंग स्टेशन पर सुरक्षा कर्मियों, पोलिंग ऑफिसर्स तथा कर्मचारियों सहित लगभग 1.5 करोड़ लोगों ने सक्रिय भागीदारी निभाई है। इस चुनाव में लगभग 65 करोड़ मतदाताओं ने अपने मताधिकार का प्रयोग किया है। इस संख्या की विशालता का अनुमान इस तथ्य से लगाया जा सकता है कि यूरोपियन यूनियन के 27 देशों की कुल आबादी लगभग 44 करोड़ है।
India is all set to celebrate its Republic Day tomorrow on January 26th. Security measures have been heightened across the nation for the occasion. In preparation for the upcoming celebrations, the district administration and police authorities of Riyasi in Jammu and Kashmir have intensified security measures to ensure a peaceful and safe environment for all events.
डिफरेंट नाकाज हैं उनको भी हमने हदायत दी गई कि वो सख्ती से पेश आएँ और 24/7 उनकी गाड़ियों की चेकिंग करें और कोई भी जो सस्पिशियस एक्टिविटी नोटिस होती है उसको हमें जल्दी से जल्दी रिपोर्ट करें।
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Minister for Education Dharmendra Pradhan presented awards to the Super 100 winners of Veer Gatha 4.0 in New Delhi on Saturday. Among the 100 winners, 66 are girls from different parts of the country. The objective is to connect the youth with glorious history of the country's brave hearts. The initiative saw record participation with 1.76 crore students from over 2.5 lakh schools engaging in activities like drawing, painting and essay writing to honour the valour and sacrifice of India's Gallantry Award winners. Due to the changed scenario in Bangladesh, an operational alert has been initiated across all fields formations along the 4,096-kilometre India-Bangladesh border to ensure heightened security and strengthen border outposts. During the Ops Alert exercise, patrolling and other border domination duties have been intensified. The troops are conducting various security drills in both the depth and forward areas along the border during the exercise. Let's take a look at other stories making news. India's Minister of Defence and Minister of Education felicitated 100 Veer Gatha awardees at New Delhi on Saturday. Each winner was presented with a cash prize of Rs 10,000, a medal and a certificate. These winners are among the government's 10,000 special guests for 76 Republic Day celebrations. As part of War on Drugs initiative, the northeastern state of Manipur achieved crucial milestone. A total of 314.471 kilograms of seized drugs were disposed of at the Shija Common Biomedical Waste Treatment Facility. Government of India has issued a license under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act to the Banke Bihari Temple of the Vrindavan district in Uttar Pradesh. And still to come on India NewsHour. All the latest from the Maha Kumbh, the largest gathering of humans on planet. And all updates from Khelo India Winter Games underway in Ladakh.
From the historic milestone of Chandrayaan-3 to the recent space docking mission to the ambitious vision of Gaganyaan, it is an exciting phase for India's space program.
Today, the India is globally accepted as a outstanding spacefaring nation. India, we are having collaboration with 60 countries. Out of that, 40 countries were from global south. If you take Gaganyaan program, it is meant for taking our own astronaut to the space and bring them back safely. Now, to do entire thing safely, we are planning 3 uncrewed missions.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and time now for sport. And we are beginning with India versus England. Second T20. Team England will look to bounce back after suffering a 7-wicket defeat to India when both teams face today at MH Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Led by Surya Kumar Yadav, India will aim to extend their lead to 2-0 in series with another strong performance led by sensational bowling performances from Arshdeep Singh and Varun Chakravarti, coupled with a blistering 79 from Abhishek Sharma. The hosts hammered England down by 7 wickets after chasing down 133 in 12.5 overs in Kolkata. In the opening T20I, India made the surprise decision of leaving out seasoned pacer Mohammad Shami from playing 11. However, it is expected that Shami will feature in the second match. Nayana Sri Talluri won gold in short track 500-meter competitions in Leh. It was her 5th gold in Khelo India Winter Games. She shared about a journey with DD India's Abhishek Mahajan.
So gold medalist in 500-meter women's finals, Nayana Sri Talluri is with us. She's from Telangana. Welcome to DD India. First of all, congratulations on winning the gold medal.
Thank you so much.
And you won hands down. I mean, there was no competition. I mean, it was like a cakewalk for you.
Yeah, pretty much. But the other players, they have given their best as well. They are pretty fast. They just need a little more training. And I believe, yes, I was pretty fast and it was quite easy for me to get the gold. Yeah.
You, Naina, you come from Telangana, and here the temperature is completely different. Was it difficult to acclimatize to the conditions?
Not very difficult, but it was quite hard on the first day. We had a little headaches and common pains. But then we got quite used to the temperature and climate over here, and with the help of the Khelo India hospitality that they had given us very good hotels, food and everything, we could manage and everything's great.
Naina, what has been your highest achievement so far? I mean, there are players, athletes who have come shifted from roller skating to ice skating. Do you also play roller skating?
Yes, I do play roller skating. I just do it for practice, not professionally. But in Telangana, I live in Bangalore, but I represent Telangana. So in Bangalore, I just do off ice and exercises and go to the gym and all of that. I do roller in the morning occasionally.
And your achievement?
I have won, the highest achievement I had won is the Asian Open Trophy held in Jakarta, Indonesia last year, August. I got a gold in the women's relay event.
Last question, what is your ultimate aim? Why did you start this sport, and when will you be satisfied that yes, this is the reason why I started playing this sport?
I had started playing the sport as a hobby, as a summer camp, but my potential had been seen by my coach, and it has been shifted into professionally taking the sport in. And now my goal is to participate in the Olympics and represent India in the Winter Olympics and make India proud.
All right, so first target is Asian Winter Games, and then obviously Winter Olympics, and all the best to you, and thank you for speaking with DD India. With cameraman Shubham Sharma, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Leh for DD India.
And now to all the updates from Maha Kumbh, the largest religious gathering on the planet. Maha Kumbh 2025 is gearing up for the next mega Amrit Snan of Mauni Amavasya, scheduled for 29th of January. And for that, we have with us Deepika Mehto, a correspondent, is joining us live from Prayagraj. Hi Deepika, a very good evening to you. Mauni Amavasya, 29th of January, second Amrit Snan. How are the arrangements being made for that?
Good evening, Siddharth. We are right now in the 76th district of Uttar Pradesh, which is Kumbh, and the preparations for the mega Amrit Snan, which is falling on the 29th of January on the occasion of Amavasya, is all set, and all the preparations are in place. Today, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath himself came at 11 o'clock at the rail ghat, and he took the stock of the entire situation of all the security arrangements, of all the facilities which have been made for the devotees here by the government itself, and he left at around 4:30 p.m. for Lucknow. And in this entire duration, he also attended few of the events which have been lined up by all the akhadas, by all the camps and the Mahamandaleshwars here. So the preparations are in full swing for the upcoming next Amrit Snan, which is scheduled to take place on the 29th of January. And for that, many people are also continuously coming in regularly. The number has already reached the 10 crore mark, which is the 100 million mark, which the 100 million dips, holy dips have already been taken place. And every day we are witnessing the numbers to increase twofold, threefold, because we are expecting somewhere around 45 crore snans, 45 crore holy dips to be taken by the end of the 45th day of this ongoing Maha Kumbh. Siddharth.
All right, thank you so much, Deepika. We leave it there. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.